Imagine being on the phone with your son, panicking, trying to reach him in the middle of the night. He says he sees lights, he's calm, until he lets out a scream, "Oh, shit!" and the line drops. No one ever hears from him again. No body, no sign. It's like he was erased from existence in a split second. This is the story of Ethan Caldwell, a young man of just 19 years old who disappeared in the heart of the United States. And to this day, 17 years later, it remains one of the most bizarre and inexplicable cases ever recorded. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Here you will find the most forgotten, most disturbing, and most real mysteries. And now, let's get to the case that will mess with your mind. On the night of May 13th, 2008, Ethan Caldwell was celebrating the end of the school semester with friends in two different cities, Canby and Lind, Minnesota. He had been drinking a bit, but was in good enough shape to drive, according to his friends. Around 1:30 a.m., he decided to head home. It was about a 30-minute drive to his hometown of Marshall, but something about that seemingly simple trip would take a dark turn. Around 2 a.m., Ethan called his parents. His car had veered off the dirt road and into a ditch. He seemed calm, explaining that he was fine, he just needed help getting out. He believed he was close to Lind, and his parents immediately left the house to get him. As they drove, they kept Ethan on the phone. What started out as a simple rescue would soon turn into a nightmare. For nearly 47 minutes, Ethan guides his parents, describing landmarks, lights he sees in the distance, and his walking directions to find a better location. His voice sounds normal, with no signs of fear or disorientation. But at one point, he lets out an "oh shit," and the connection abruptly cuts off. The parents try to reconnect dozens of times. The phone rings, but no one answers. Ethan simply disappears. When the police arrive at the location, they find Ethan's car exactly where he had described it, near the town of Taunton, not Lind as he had thought. That was strange enough. He was 25 miles off course. The car was unlocked. There was no sign of a struggle, no blood, no clue as to what might have happened. What was Ethan doing so far from home? The search begins immediately, but the local police initially consider the disappearance as non-urgent, since Ethan is an adult. As a result, precious hours are lost. Only after insistence from his parents do the officers begin searching with sniffer dogs, helicopters, and ground teams. The dogs follow Ethan's trail across a field to a point where the scent stops, as if he had been swallowed up by nothingness. The area is made up of vast farmland, with few trees or structures. A young man disappearing in such a setting should be easy to locate, right? But no clothes, no backpack, no cell phone, nothing was found. It was as if he had evaporated from the ground. This began one of the most frustrating investigations in Minnesota police history, and one of the least covered by the national media. His parents continue searching day after day, handing out flyers, talking to local reporters, and asking volunteers for help. But time passes, and Ethan remains missing. A healthy young man in the middle of the American night disappears before his parents' ears with one last sentence that echoes in the void. "Oh, shit." The most chilling element of this case is, without a doubt, the last phone call. Not only because of Ethan's final words, but also because of its duration. 47 minutes of direct contact with his parents. During that time, he seemed calm, lucid, and focused. He described landmarks, walked, talked about the city lights. Everything made sense, until the exact moment when something happened. But what? Behavioral experts suggest that Ethan may have fallen into a sinkhole, an irrigation ditch, or even been attacked by an animal. But no physical evidence of this has ever been found. The phone continued to ring for hours, indicating that it was not damaged or thrown into the water immediately. This raises a frightening possibility. Ethan may have remained alive for some time after the call ended. Another theory is that Ethan was hit by a car or kidnapped. But again, the area was so isolated that any vehicle that passed by would have left tracks behind. And there's no evidence of that. There were no additional footprints and no signs of another car. So how could a young man on foot disappear completely in an open rural area with his cell phone still working? The most disturbing thing is that even with the advancement of technology, cell towers and forensic data have not been able to pinpoint his exact location. GPS was rudimentary in 2008, and the last triangulation of the signal gave a very wide radius. In other words, even with the world listening, Ethan disappeared without leaving a trace, shadow, or trace. After the initial shock, Ethan's parents, Linda and Mark Caldwell, began a lone crusade for justice and visibility. They harshly criticized the initial police response, which was slow to begin the search because they considered Ethan an adult who would probably return home. This error in judgment cost them possibly their only real chance to save him. Tired of institutional indifference, the Caldwells gained popular support and created the Ethan's Law. This law requires the police to respond immediately whenever an adult disappears under suspicious circumstances, even if they are an adult. The law was passed in 2009 and has saved dozens of lives since then. But for Ethan's parents, this achievement has a bitter taste. The law only came into effect because their son never returned. Despite this, Ethan's case remains largely out of the spotlight. Unlike other disappearances like Maura Murray or Natalie Holloway, his story has never received significant national coverage. It's as if he's been forgotten, just like he was on that dirt road in the middle of the night. Each year, the Caldwells hold vigils in honor of their son and renew their appeals for any information. But the truth is cruel. No one knows, and perhaps no one ever knows. Ethan is still missing, and the most painful part? His parents were just a few feet away from him, listening to his breathing, unable to save him. What really happened to Ethan Caldwell? Theories range from the tragic, such as falling into a deep stream, to the criminal, such as being kidnapped by someone hiding in the dark. Some even believe in paranormal hypotheses, such as abduction or time portals, for the simple fact that nothing else explains such a complete disappearance. Skeptics argue that he simply fell into a farm drain and the body was swept away by underground currents. But intensive searches with dogs, sonar, and excavators have turned up nothing. It's like looking for a needle that might not even be in a haystack. What's more, the dogs stopped in the middle of a field, not near water. Others believe that Ethan may have suffered a mental breakdown or confusion, perhaps due to alcohol, and walked until he collapsed. But his parents insist that he was speaking clearly, with no signs of intoxication or hallucination, which leaves us with the worst-case scenario, that someone was there that night, watching, waiting. The truth is, no one disappears like that, not by accident, not without a trace, unless someone wants you to never be found. Today, Ethan Caldwell's name is a whisper among true crime experts, a case with almost no media coverage, no justice, no conclusion. But for his parents, he is a constant cry, a void that will never be filled. His face is still on posters, his name still echoes at vigils. But hope fades a little more each year. Stories like Ethan's remind us that disappearances don't just happen in TV shows or movies. They are real, painful, and often overlooked. When the media doesn't uncover them, when the system fails, families are left alone in their despair, and justice never comes. If you've been watching this far, know this. Every view helps keep alive the memory of someone the world has forgotten. Every click is a warning against the silence that surrounds so many unsolved disappearances. Do you know anyone who has disappeared without explanation? Comment below. Cases like Ethan's show us that even before our very eyes, disappearance can be instantaneous and irreversible. Stay alert, take care of those you love, and never ignore a call for help, no matter how simple it may seem.